What's up, my mini makers? Welcome to another episode of Tiny Tim's Minis. For those of you that do not know, I am Tim, and on this channel, I take big things and I make them small. Simple as that. This week, I'm making a Dark Souls inspired diorama. It initially was going to be a self-portrait. I was like, it's 2022, it's a new year. Let's make this a thing. I'll do a self-portrait every year and see how it goes. I was gonna be like, I'll make myself a little scary, add me into like this weird, make me into this weird troll. I mean, I basically did, but it looks nothing like me. So I was like, it's a Dark Souls inspired diorama. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If there's anything you want to see in miniature, comment down below. I do have a Patreon if you want to help support me. Link is also down below. And if you like any of the tools that I'm using, I also have some affiliate links down below. It gives me a little kickback. Appreciate it. Links are down below. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. So this is my reference photo. Again, I was going to do a self-portrait, but it didn't turn out to be a self-portrait. But I had a lot of fun making it. I've never made any human faces before, and this came out fantastic. I drew some lines on the face so that I would have a reference on the clay, and I drew the same lines on the clay. For the face, what I usually do when I'm sculpting anything is I'll look at my reference photo, I'll break my image down in my brain into tiny shapes, like, oh, the eyeball's a circle. The eyelid is this weird half circle triangle looking thing. The cheekbones are a long triangle. That's usually how my brain goes. I'm like, I'm gonna sculpt a long triangle and then blend it in and hopefully it looks good. And it worked out pretty well because the face came out amazing. I am so happy with this face. It is so terrifying and I love it. For the mouth, all I did was I just sculpted all the little details on there and then I cut out a hole. I knew I wouldn't be able to paint any of the inside of the mouth. So I had some red clay, I mixed it up with some different reds just so I can get a good mouth color, I guess. And then the teeth I pre-baked, like the eyes, I pre-baked the eyes, I meant to say that, but I pre-baked the teeth. I used translucent clay, and I'm really happy I did because the translucent clay, if you ever want to make some weird, realistic looking teeth, use translucent clay. Oh my goodness, they look so nice. For the body, I did the same thing. I built it up with some aluminum foil, and then I put some clay on top of it. I knew I wanted my creepy Dark Souls-y monster to look old and ancient and that, like, he's a skeleton basically. My idea for him was that every time he's like cursed to live inside this dungeon of the castle, and he can come out once a year and he can eat, but if he eats, he just wants to eat more and he has to keep eating and eating, and he doesn't eat, so he starves himself, but he has to eat to live. So every time he eats, he just gets hungrier and hungrier, and eventually he just becomes like this monster of whatever town they're in, and he like comes out once a year and just devours everything in sight. And I kind of wanted to get that because he's so hungry, but he's so just like, I need to eat, like his face. That's what I wanted to go for. So I added some weird looking ribs, bulked up his arms because he's a monster. Monsters are ribbed. I'm just kidding. It's just like some muscle definition, so his arms don't look like twigs. So for the hands, I do love these hands. These were my best. I love making hands. For the hands, all I did was took a piece of clay, kind of shaped it into the form of a hand that looks like this, and then I just pulled the fingers out, make sure everything was like correct length. I wanted them to be like long, like creepy long, you know? Like this man, he's got really big old scary hands. And I did that. I added a thumb, but all I did was I just kind of smoothed everything out, made it look finger-like, added some knuckles onto there, on the knuckle part, and then on the fingers, right up at the top, I added some knuckles onto there as well. Oh my god, these hands, I cannot get over these hands. I was so excited sculpting these hands because they came out so good. I added some fingernails as well. Hands are, like, I want to say they're easy. I don't know if anybody else thinks they're easy, but I think they're pretty easy. Just, I've practiced with a lot of hands as well. But look at these spooky hands. And I did do another hand. I did the same thing, but then I just curled it into a fist. And there we go, you got yourself a hand. For the head, I want it to be nice and low, like he's got a hunchback. He's able to just kind of crawl and eat at the same time. That's really what I was going for, and I think I pulled it off. I think it looks really, look at that. That looks terrifying. If you're on a walk, you'd be, oh, look at that. There's like an old mystery dungeon right there, which we're starting to build right now. And he comes crawling out, you're done. You're dead. That's it. Game over. But you know how Dark Souls, also for my guy, I was really inspired by, I think it was King Wolnir, or there's like this giant skeleton man in Dark Souls 3. I think it's 3. I don't know. I think it's Dark Souls 3. But he just like, he's a big old skeleton and you have to fight him in the dark. And that's kind of also where I got some inspiration. For the cave, all I did was I took some XPS foam, cut it into blocks, and then I carved out the middle. You're not going to see the back, so it's going to be painted black. He didn't fit all the way, so I had to add a little tunic onto him. It was pretty easy. This part was the bane of my existence. Carving out each individual brick. It was painstaking and it took way too long, but it looks really nice. I added a little ridge onto the entrance just so it like you got your stone area and then you got your entrance area. So it kind of defines the entrance a little bit. It's like a bridge or like a tunnel. But again, it was kind of just painstaking. It took way too long. And then when I was done cutting out everything, I took my favorite tool, this big old rock, and I just ran it right over top. Again, rocks are the best. You want a good texture? Rock it up. I love it. I love me a good rock. I found this rock the other day, and I was really excited to use it. For the pathway, I just carved out some bricks on the flat part of the XPS foam. They weren't perfect, but most of it's gonna be covered by dirt and some grass, but I just wanted some like a brick pathway leading into it, and I think it came out nice. If you have another way of making like a brick pathway like this, let me know, because I wasn't super happy with the result, but it looks okay. I wanted a knight fighting him, so I took a little bit of forest wire, made a little body, and I just kept adding. I looked at a picture of a suit of armor and tried to copy that as best as I could. I think it came out really nice. It looks really, I was really happy with it. It was kind of easy. This was a lot easier than the big old monster man that we made, just because it was like I cut out or rolled out a piece of clay in my pasta roller, and I just cut out pieces that looked like the picture. It was really easy. I just kind of built it up. I had to bake it a couple times because I didn't want to mess any of the little bits that I already sculpted, but I was really happy with the results. I kept showing my girlfriend, like, look at it, look how cute he is. And I added a little belt, little arm, little pauldrons on the side. Pauldrons, I love that word. Just some little details with just a little, like you can use a toothpick. I made a little sword for him and a little shield. I love the shield. The shield is literally my favorite part. You're gonna mainly be looking at the back, so I wanted to add a little bit of texture onto there. So I was like, I'm gonna add a cape. So I took a piece of clay, rolled it up, cut it up a little bit, then added some little worms onto the back just to add a little bit of ruffles because it looked kind of flat and I wanted some layers onto that. I wanted him to look like he's been roughed up. These are all the paints I'm using. They're basic paints. You go to any hobby store, use these paints. I did a base of black Mod Podge for the tunnel, and then all I did was some dry brushings of gray, dry brushings of white. I did a couple washes with some browns and some greens, but it came out really nice. I love painting stone texture. And to torture myself a little bit, I painted each individual brick a different color, like a different gray, like a brown, just so it adds some, like, just a little bit of different stuff in there, a different look, you know? For the texture, I just painted over some Mod Podge, got some Mod Podge, put it on there, got some dirt from the outside. Make sure if you're using dirt from your outdoors, you bake it beforehand. I baked mine at, I think it was like 400 degrees for like 30 minutes, just because there's some like little bacteria stuff in there. You don't want that like growing on your dioramas. And then I dusted some static grass over top. I did it when the dirt was still wet and it stuck to the dirt, but I think it looks nice. Then I had some dried leaves, I crumpled them up, put them on there, and look at that. That looks it looks so nice. Literally my favorite bit of scenery I've ever done. And this is some of the scenery goodness that I used on there. For painting our spooky man, I did just a bunch of washes with some purples and some reds, and that's it. That's really it. Like for the crevices and cracks in his face, I tried to do some deep purples going down there, mix it with some reds, just because that's his skin tone. We're doing that. And I didn't think it was gonna come out as good because I've never done washes like this before. I wanted to look organic, and I was watching a video and they're like, use washes to make it look organic. I was like, okay, because we already had a good base skin tone from the clay we were using. So I just did that. I did it all over his body. I eventually got a little bit more confident with the washes, because at first I was like a little bit, brush it off with a paper towel, a little bit, brush it off with a paper towel, and I was like, this is doing nothing. I mean, it was doing something, but it was just taking so long. And I was like, let's add a little bit more, more paint to the water, and then brush off the excess that we didn't want, and it just kind of laid in the crevices really nicely. And god dang, he looks terrifying. I was really happy with this paint job. It was surprisingly easy, and it looked really nice. For the eyeballs, I wasn't gonna sit there and be like, I'm gonna paint some good looking eye. I was like, they're gonna be black. He's a dead monster, so his eyeballs are gonna be dead and kind of scary. I was gonna do white, but I was like, black eyeballs, those are a bit more spooky in my opinion. And they were very spooky. I really loved how this came out. I also did brush some resin over his eyeballs and his mouth to make them look like organic. For the knight, I had this nice like dark silver, it's like a gunmetal, and I did that all over his armor. And then for the belt and just some like underlying regions, I did a brown. I gave his shield a little bit of gold on there, and some red on his cape. And then to finish it off, I did some dry brushing of white, just to make everything pop. I also did that on our spooky man, and the dry brushing right just kind of like highlights everything on there. It looks really nice. We have our terrain made, we got our sculptures painted, we got them sculpted, we got them looking nice. They look so good. What do you think? What do you think of them? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. But let's get to those glamour shots. Another diorama in the books. I really love how this came out, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for hanging out. If you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe, hit that like, all that good stuff. I got some links down below. Go check them out. But I think that's it. All right, I'll see you next time with another diorama. See ya.
Good job, Tim. Good job. Good. Let me tell you about some things that happened to me today, okay? I have nothing happen today. It's cold. I got a beanie and a sweater. That is all. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Goodbye.